Everyone, Tom Parks, Director of Retirement Plan Services with Annex Wealth Management, here to talk to you today about beneficiary designations. Joining me is Jen Mussa. A little bit about yourself.
I am Jen Mussa. I am the President of Retirement Plan Allance, and I have worked in 401k administration for about 15 years.
And that is why I invited Jen along to talk to me today, because she's been doing this quite a while and knows how to get into the weeds. So beneficiary designations, we're talking about people who are in a 401k plan. Super high level, what is the beneficiary designation?
It's where your money goes if you die.
And that's very important. Hopefully, it will never come up for you while you're working, but unfortunately, it does with people. So this is really, really important. I think it's one of those things where we find this a lot in 401k plans, where it's the little things that seem not so important that can end up making everyone's lives miserable, and this definitely falls into that category. So why is it so important that people keep these up to date? Obviously, they want to make sure their money goes to someone they care about, but what are some of the problems that can come up if you don't do a beneficiary designation?
So if you don't have a designated beneficiary form on file, then your money goes into a trust or a lost account, and your estate then has to claim it. And if you don't have an estate, your money sits in a lost funds account.
So if you do have an estate, let's say you go through the estate planning process, all that stuff, a lot of people say, well, I don't need to fill out the beneficiary form because, I did my will and all that stuff. True, false?
That is false.
Okay.
A beneficiary form supersedes a will, a trust, an estate plan, and any other, other documents that you would use. And it's really important to update that beneficiary form, because if you update your beneficiary form when you enroll and you have life changes through the 20 years of your career and it's never updated.
Yeah, that never happens, right?
Your money goes to that first person. So if you have been married and divorced maybe more than once and you have not updated your beneficiary form, that first spouse is going to get your retirement account.
Have you ever seen anything like that happen in the 15 years you've been doing this?
Yes, I have,
Maybe
actually.
more than once. Yeah, and that's a disaster, and it's not what you probably wanted in the first place anyway. So, okay, speaking of spouses, a lot of people live in marital property states. So what if, let's say I'm married and for some reason I want to designate someone other than my spouse as the beneficiary? Can I do that? Any issues with that?
You can do that. However, I'm not having the conversation with your spouse as to why you're not naming them your primary 100% beneficiary. And keep in mind that your spouse does have to sign off on not being your primary beneficiary, and they have to sign in front of a notary public.
Okay.
So they verify their identity as well. So if you are thinking of having someone else as your primary beneficiary, it's important to have that conversation with your spouse early.
Okay, so you and I work with a lot of different retirement plans, a lot of HR directors, CFOs, stuff like that. If they're looking at their plan and they see, okay, 12, 15 of my people don't have a beneficiary designation, is that a potential problem for them, or are they just like, well, whatever, that's their problem?
So as a fiduciary and a plan administrator, you always want to follow best practice. And best practice is to keep a beneficiary form on file for all employees. Everyone thinks that they're not going to die. However, within the last few weeks, I had a young man in his 20s killed in a car accident and did not have a beneficiary form on file. So
yeah, and then it just creates a problem for everybody, because now they're going to have to deal with all of that stuff. So beneficiaries are super important. It's just one of those little things that seems like it's not an important detail, but, in the long run, it could create a disaster for everyone who's left behind. And so beneficiary designation, super important. For more topics like this, educational in nature, don't forget to check out the Annex Wealth Management YouTube channel. Also, if you have any questions, you can get a hold of me via email, via phone. If you have really detailed questions, though,
you can call me or send me an email. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you have.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for taking the time. It was good talking to you.
Always.